Hey guys, I'm Mike and welcome to another video. In Frostpunk 2, trust plays a pivotal role in keeping your city's population stable and preventing catastrophic civil unrest. If the citizens don't trust you as their leader, the game will quickly descend into chaos, leading to riots, sabotage, and ultimately, the downfall of your entire city. So, how exactly do you manage to keep trust high and the citizens calm in this brutal city-building survival game? Well, it's a balancing act, and it's not as easy as just building fancy houses and cranking up the heat. You'll need to make careful decisions, choose who to ally with, and juggle the city's resources, all while avoiding being ousted by your people. If you are excited as we are about today's topic, show some love by liking and subscribing to Retro Pocket for more amazing content. Factions and beliefs in Frostpunk 2, a moral framework. In Frostpunk 2, the various factions within your city are more than just groups with differing agendas. They represent distinct moral philosophies. These ideologies form the backbone of your interactions with each faction and significantly affect their level of trust in your leadership. Each faction's trust in you is shaped by how closely your actions align with their core beliefs, which are divided into three key moral axes: adaptation versus progress, equality versus merit, and reason versus tradition. Understanding these beliefs is crucial to maintaining peace and order, as failure to align with them can lead to dissent and even rebellion. Factions that favor adaptation believe in adjusting to the harsh conditions of the frozen world through measured and cautious changes. Like the Frostlanders are the epitome of adaptation. They understand the need for flexibility and are willing to make compromises to ensure survival in the face of the extreme cold. Winning their trust requires making decisions that prioritize gradual, thoughtful change rather than risky leaps into the unknown. They prioritize survival above all else and are willing to compromise to endure. On the opposite end, progress-oriented factions are all about innovation and technological advancements, often pushing for bold and rapid changes to improve the city's efficiency and future prospects. Like the New Londoners, who are staunch progressives. They believe in the power of technology and innovation to lead the city forward, often pushing for cutting-edge solutions to the many challenges your city will face. They are likely to support laws and initiatives that accelerate technological growth, even at the expense of tradition or adaptation. If you want the New Londoners on your side, you'll need to consistently prioritize progress in your decision-making. Meanwhile, factions like Faith Keepers prioritize equality and believe in fair resource distribution, advocating for every citizen to have an equal stake in the city's future. Merit-based factions, however, argue that those who contribute the most should be rewarded accordingly. The final axis, reason versus tradition, pits logical, scientific approaches to leadership against cultural and historical values that resist change. Reason-driven factions prefer decisions based on data and practical solutions, while tradition-focused factions seek to preserve the past and maintain a sense of continuity. Promises, the art of keeping your word. One surefire way to increase trust with a faction is through promises. Throughout the game, you'll be given options to make promises to different factions, but there's a catch: fulfilling those promises is absolutely critical. Failing to deliver on a promise will lead to a drop in trust, sometimes tanking your approval rating so low that recovery might be impossible. The tricky part here is that not all promises align with the resources or goals you have at hand. It's tempting to promise the world to keep people happy in the moment, but it could backfire hard if you fail to follow through. For example, you might promise one faction to improve their living conditions, which could involve resource-heavy upgrades that clash with other commitments you've made. If you can't balance your promises, you'll end up disappointing someone, and that means trust will drop. The key here is strategy. Make promises that you're confident you can keep. Not every opportunity to gain trust is worth risking long-term stability. Remember, it's better to have a steady climb in trust than to gain and lose it in sudden bursts. Agendas and laws shaping the future. One of the riskier ways to build trust with a faction is by granting them the opportunity to bring forth an agenda. This involves allowing a faction to propose a law during a council meeting. If passed, this law will immediately increase your trust with that faction, but there's no guarantee that the law they propose will align with your broader goals. Imagine granting a faction the power to propose a law, only for them to bring something that conflicts with another faction or worsens citywide conditions. You can try negotiating to sway them toward a more beneficial proposal, but there's always an element of risk involved. That said, it's worth taking calculated risks with this method when you're confident that the faction in question will bring something to the table that aligns with your long-term strategy. Successfully passing a faction's agenda can be a huge trust booster, and it's one of the more immediate ways to gain favor in Frostpunk 2. Funding projects, Heatstamps, and Bribes. Resources are tight in Frostpunk 2, and Heatstamps are among the most valuable. But here's the thing, sometimes you need to loosen your grip on those resources to maintain faction trust. By funding a faction's projects with Heatstamps, you're essentially bribing them for trust. But don't go overboard with this strategy. The other factions are watching, and if you're seen favoring one faction too much, you'll lose trust with others. It's a balancing act, but well-timed funding can be a quick way to increase trust when things are looking shaky. Managing laws, a delicate balance. Laws are a significant part of governing in Frostpunk 2, and every decision you make has a ripple effect on the trust you've built. Passing a law can make or break your relationship with the city's factions. When a law is proposed, you'll get some insight into how it might affect different factions. Some laws will please one faction but upset another, so you'll need to weigh the benefits and consequences carefully. For example, enacting a law that tightens worker hours might make the progress-focused factions happy, but it could anger the equality-focused factions. Laws are where the balancing act of keeping everyone happy becomes most apparent, and careful consideration is necessary to maintain trust across the board. The role of negative impacts, consequences of failure. It's not all smooth sailing when trying to increase trust in Frostpunk 2. Every decision you make has consequences, and sometimes you'll have to face the music when things go wrong. Breaking a promise or passing a law that backfires can send your trust ratings plummeting. Worse still, if a faction becomes disgruntled, they may actively work against you, inciting riots, damaging infrastructure, or voting you out of power altogether. What makes Frostpunk 2 so tense is that it's not just about making the right choices, but also about minimizing the fallout from the wrong ones. If you're on a losing streak with a faction, it's not the end of the world, but it will take time to regain their trust. Damage control is crucial in this game, and sometimes avoiding negative impacts is more important than chasing immediate trust boosts. The long game, maintaining trust over time. Once you've gained trust with a faction, it's essential to maintain it. Trust can be fleeting, and what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. Consistently meeting expectations, keeping promises, and making sure laws align with the faction's values will keep trust high. However, always keep in mind that Frostpunk 2 is a game of survival, and sometimes you'll need to make decisions that hurt trust in the short term to secure the long-term future of the city. Knowing when to take risks and when to play it safe is key to navigating the complexities of trust in Frostpunk 2. Juggling the needs of the different factions while keeping the city alive and thriving is a constant challenge, and maintaining trust is an ongoing balancing act that adds to the game's rich depth and intensity. So if you're diving into Frostpunk 2 and looking to solidify your rule, keep these trust-building strategies in mind. Your city's survival and your leadership depends on it. Like what you see? Smash that like button, subscribe for more epic tech reviews, and don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an update.